Burnout rarely comes from one big problem. It usually comes from accumulated friction and tensions we've ignored. Moments where things feel slightly off. But we smooth it over and move on because we never thought it was a big deal. If you had those moments, then individually you know that they seem harmless. Until one day we realize we're exhausted, irritated, or resentful. And we're not even sure when it even started. And most of the time, the moment that caused it looked too small to matter. If you're new here, hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm a school teacher and a former business manager. This is a part of the Lead Yourself series. I'm building a framework to help us make clear decisions in work and relationships without overreacting, disappearing, or losing influence. And I'm here to share what I've learned along the way so we won't waste time and energy repeating the mistakes that cost more than they should. So let's recap. In earlier episodes, we talked about first signals. We talked about responses creating direction, and we talked about the invisible rules that fill in those behavioral gaps. Today, we're taking a look at what happens when friction and tension keeps getting ignored. What happens when we don't draw a line when something bothers us. The truth is, those negative energies and feelings, they don't go away. They leak, usually as burnout or resentment. When I was managing the gym, most of the issues I dealt with weren't dramatic. Nobody was yelling or fighting, but small annoying things kept happening. Things like somebody forgot to log information before or after class, or somebody playing soft and sleepy music in the powerlifting area. I know you probably don't think these are big deals or anything. As a matter of fact, back then I didn't even think they were big problems either. So most of the time I just adjusted or fixed the issue, because I didn't think those were serious enough for me to escalate. But what I didn't realize at the time was that every tension or friction I absorbed instead of managing went somewhere else. They're probably being stored somewhere in my brain in a pile where a bin says it's nothing. However, the bin kept on growing fuller and fuller over time, and the tensions that I thought were nothing had been sneakily accumulating in the background. Do you also have a bin like this? Anyway, from time to time, I would have this impression that my job was a waste of time and I had no passion in managing. Luckily, over time, I realized that I wasn't actually in the right headspace. The part that clicked was that I was so tired of living in the same loops and repeating the same mistakes. So I started putting all the mistakes I made or the team made into an Excel spreadsheet. And once everything was in front of me, all that data spread across the sheet, I started recognizing my own patterns. Anyway, back to the topic. So why do burnouts confuse people? The most common reason is often because we mistake friction absorption for management. So when we start feeling irritated or resentful, we don't know who or what should take the blame. Hence, most of the time, we blame it on our workload. But many times, the real problem is accumulated tension, like small moments that should have been clarified earlier, expectations that were never named, tiny misalignments that kept repeating. And because each incident felt small at the time, we let them slide. But unfortunately, our bodies keep track. After a while, irritation starts showing up more easily. Certain situations start draining more energy than they should. Sometimes we even feel resentful toward people who aren't even involved. That's why burnout often feels confusing, because there's no single moment we can point to and say that's when it started to happen. And this is also why awareness is such an important part of self-leadership. Noticing tension early keeps the cost small. In many ways, awareness is much cheaper than repair. When we notice early, we get to clarify our expectations. We get to choose if we want to adjust our boundaries. We become aware of what direction our responses lead to. On the other hand, if we notice too late, we're no longer managing tension. We only end up with the opportunity to repair the damage. And the hard truth is, it takes extra time to fix anything. Repairing relationships takes time, repairing trust and influence takes even longer. And repairing your own energy after burnout sometimes takes days or even months. If you've been following the Lead Yourself series, this is probably also a good moment to pause and reflect. Has something been bothering you for a while? Is it a repeating issue? How did you react in this situation? Have you been adjusting yourself again and again? If you want help tracking those patterns, I've linked the free worksheet down below. The worksheet is meant to help you keep track of where tension shows up. You'll gain better awareness of yourself by practicing the framework repeatedly. And if you're not sure what framework I'm talking about, go check out this episode. It'll give you a clear picture of what skills we're trying to build in this series. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!